The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
You are now tuned in to the PA Power Podcast, featuring Jeff Upson and Eric Knopsnyder. PA Power Wrestling. PA Power Wrestling. Pennsylvania is wrestling.
Welcome into the PA Power Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Upson, joined as always by Eric Knopsnyder. Eric, how you doing today?
I'm good, Jeff. Glad to be back.
Well, yeah, we had we had you off on the last one because Jake Woodley had to step in and fill in for you, but it worked out okay. Yeah,
probably a better host than me. If you need to fill in, he can probably take over for me.
I would say he's definitely better looking, but I don't want to start out on a bad foot. So we are going into the college season gear. We're switching gears towards college season. It's right around the corner. We have the All-Star Classic dual meet this weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. Only one Pennsylvania wrestler will be competing in it. I was definitely disappointed, Eric, that only one Pennsylvania wrestler got the invite there. Not saying that the guys going there aren't qualified, because clearly you have guys like Gabe Dean and Miles Martin there, but Brett Harner from Princeton is the lone Pennsylvania guy going to be competing in that event. But we're really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would have thought there might have been a couple more Pennsylvania guys, but you never know how it goes. I mean, you don't know who was invited and for one reason or another wasn't able to participate. But I agree with you with it being in Cleveland, so close to Pennsylvania. It would have been nice to see a couple more PA guys in that. But Brett Harner, great opportunity for him, and we're going to have him on the show a little bit later. Look forward to talking to him. Princeton student who I'm sure will bring up the intelligence level a little bit on the podcast.
For sure. I mean, probably combined higher IQ than both of us. But nonetheless, we will still try to manage. So a lot of wrestle-offs or inter-squad dual meets took place over the last 2 weeks in Division I wrestling. Definitely some notable results, in my opinion. A lot of true freshmen that came away with some wins that I was surprised at. So we'll just go through it and look at some of the names, and we'll start out with Pitt. Close to home for us from the blue and gold dual meet, Eric, and definitely some surprises, would you say?
Yeah, and you talk about a true freshman, Jake Wenzel, with a nice showing there. I think he's probably going to step into the lineup there. A little bit unusual. They had two wrestle-offs at 157. So Jake Wenzel with a win over Talib Rahmani and Nathan Russell with a win over Alex Murray there. Just my own personal feeling, I would think that Wenzel is probably your starter there. Haven't heard anything on that, but that would just be my feeling. But definitely an impact freshman to watch there.
Definitely. Dom Forays, 133 from North Allegheny. He was very close to earning a NCAA All-American finish last year. He won at 133 over Ben Ross from Penridge. Mikey Rashado from Penn Argyl. He's back in the lineup now. He took some time off last year. I know there was some weight issues there, but he's up at 149, where I think that's his natural weight class. But Rashado is now a senior at Pitt. He won his wrestle off over Joe Travado, 14-1. So looking good at 149 for Pitt.
Well, that's definitely good for the Panthers to have Rashado back. He's a guy that they really need to have in the lineup. And I think you're right. I think 141 was just probably too much of a stretch for him. 149, I'm sure he'll be better there, feel healthier, and hopefully do some good things down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, Jake Wenzel, he won his one wrestle off there at 157. And Nathan Russell from Huntington was also in there. A guy that I really am big on, very much so, is Tayshawn Campbell from Pitt. He wrestled at Penn Hills, was a state champion his senior season there. He came out with an impressive win over Austin Bell. Now, he had defeated Austin in high school multiple times, but Austin came in with much of a blue chipper as you can get for Pitt. But Tayshawn came out and got a 9-3 win over Bell.
Yeah, that was probably the most interesting one for me, just from a name standpoint. I mean, both of those guys, pretty big names in Pennsylvania and nationally, as far as who Pitt was able to bring in over the past couple of years. And so to have them both at the same weight class, not ideal at this point. But Tashan continues to own that matchup, as you said, with a 9-3 victory.
Yeah, and what else is interesting is he's dropping down. He was 174 last year when he was an NCAA qualifier, and now he's down at 165. And guys put together, so I can't imagine how he looks at 65, but probably maybe a little bit better for him as long as that weight's under control. A weight class where I really do think he can make some noise on the national level. He's got a lot of quality wins under his belt, and just defeating a guy like Austin Bell already shows where he's at. But Tashan got the win at 165. An interesting result, 184, Greg Harvey, another true freshman from Boyertown who's competing for Pitt. He was able to get an 8-7 win over Alex Delp, who's hails from Kiski area. So a lot of fresh faces there for the Pitt Panthers. Yeah,
I guess it's kind of you're not sure if that's a good thing or not. A rough season last year, so while you don't always want to have a whole lot of true freshmen in your lineup after a difficult season a year ago, maybe it's good for them to kind of turn the page and get some new faces in there.
Yeah, definitely. And at 197, we again, just like 157, there was two wrestle-offs, two matches competed at 197. Zach Bruce from Seneca, he defeated John Rizzo, three-time state champion, who drops down from 285 from last year. He defeated Rizzo 5-3. And in the other match, Lucas Chestnut of Mechanicsburg, who's been competing for Pitt, he won over Jason Martinek, 8-3 decision there. So it'd be interesting to see who comes out as the starter there at 197.
Yeah, for me, I mean, locally, my interest, John Rizzo, I covered him all through high school. As you said, a three-time state champ at Richland. Just hasn't worked out for him in college. He tried to go up to heavyweight, wasn't able to be a starter there, had some trouble with Ryan Solomon in the lineup. And then this year drops down to 197, where he hadn't been since he was a freshman in high school. He wrestled 215 as a freshman in high school. So really a dramatic weight change for him there, but still not able to get the job done. Zach Bruce with the victory there. And so, yeah, I'm not sure whether that'll be Bruce or Chestnut, but some new faces again. Bruce has been in there, I think, a little bit in the lineup for Pitt, but, definitely some differences in the lineup this year.
Yeah, and switching gears, going up north a little bit to Edinboro, very, very impressed with the way Corbin Myers from Boyne Springs competed in his redshirt freshman season. He was a two-time state finalist or three-time state finalist, I believe. Yeah, three-time state finalist for Boyne Springs, and he competed in the Edinboro, their inter-squad dual meet between red and white. And Corbin came away with 13-2 major decision over Tony Recco, and he also had a 10-5 decision over Anthony Rivera. So he definitely earned that spot at 133 there for the Fighting Scouts.
I'm always so impressed with the job that Edinboro does. For being a smaller school, you could certainly argue that they're the number 2 program in the state behind Penn State, which is nothing to no shame there in being number 2 behind Penn State, but just a great job at Edinboro and having another impact guy come in with Myers. I think that's great for the program there.
And obviously some returning big names. Austin Matthews will be returning. He's moving up to 165 this season. But another true freshman that impressed was Dakota Gear. He came in. Obviously, last season, his senior season didn't end the way he wanted to. He was ranked number 1 in the nation, ended up finishing 3rd in the state tournament. He was upset there by Garrett Hoffman. Dakota came in and he won 2 of 3 bouts against redshirt freshman Dylan Reynolds, who, if you remember, he was the state champion from Sagertown. He's a redshirt freshman this year. Very highly touted blue chipper who came in to Edinboro. Gear won the first match 1-0, and then Reynolds came back, won 8-3. And then Gear closed it out with a 3-0 decision to make it 2-1 in his favor. So a good problem to have if you're head coach Tim Flynn.
Absolutely. Gear, really quality guy. I remember talking to him after the Flow Nationals and just about what you said about kind of the disappointing end to his high school career, but he was able to bounce back from that, win a Flow Nationals title, and just picking up where he left off there and going in and winning a wrestle-off for Edinburgh. So I think really big things ahead in the future for Dakota Gear.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for him, and I'm sure they're only going to help each other get better. Redshirt junior Ty Schofsall from Tri-Valley, he won. He earned a pin there, so I believe he'll be returning to 157 this year. Now that Matthews is up to 165. So, like you said, Edinburgh always competing. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago they finished third at the NCAA tournament. So. Talk about a program that really turns it in year in and year out.
And they don't necessarily get the blue chip guys. I mean, they get good guys. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Dakota Gear, an example of that, really solid get for them. But they really seem to do a great job of guys that improve as they get in the program. They get there and they're good, and by the end of their career, they're great and getting on the podium at the NCAA tournament.
Definitely. Another program that I think is on the move in the right direction, we got the Clarion Golden Eagles here, and another true freshman, Tate Orts from Brookville, who we saw win a state championship last year and help lead the Brookville team to a team state championship. Tate Orts won. He defeated Roshan Cooley, who's from Williamsport. He defeated him 7-1 in the first match and 5-2 in the second, turned that spot at 133. And Jake Gramacki, formerly of Pitt, transferred in. I believe was it last year that he transferred in, Eric?
I think it was, yeah.
He earned a spot at 125, defeating Brendan Howard from Jefferson Morgan. He won 6-0 there at 125. So Clarion, I think they're looking to go in the right direction here, and I really do think they are.
I know it's been quite a few years now, but when Clarion had sort of fallen off, I remember looking at their roster and thinking, man, for a school in Pennsylvania that, isn't quite the high profile name of some of the other schools, you'd think they'd be really going after those guys that are taking second, third, fourth in the state and really concentrating on those guys. And instead you looked at their roster and it was just dotted with guys from out of state. And I thought, okay, if you're not going to be doing well, I'd rather take my chances on the Pennsylvania guys than try to bring all these guys in from out of state. And you look at these wrestle-off results now and you see that they're back to that these are, just Pennsylvania guys up and down the lineup. And I think you're right. I think that's going to be the key to success for them, is having all those Pennsylvania guys, those homegrown guys that you can bring in, probably even on less of a scholarship than you need to get the out-of-state guys, and really build your program on that solid foundation of what we have here in Pennsylvania.
I think you're absolutely right, Eric. And another guy who I would consider a blue chipper, another Brookville area guy, is Brock Zacherl, who last year had a very good campaign in his freshman year. I know he didn't finish where he wanted to on the podium, but this year he's returning back to 141. He earned a major decision over Evan Myers at 141. So I know he's going to be on the national radar for Clarion. So I really hope that he does well this year. Another one, Evan DeLong, was able to come away with a 8-2 decision over Taylor Cahill, who we had talked about earlier.
Yeah. Another guy, Pennsylvania guy, a couple of Pennsylvania guys there. So as you said, just a lot of guys that can get in there and make an impact for Clarion.
We'll go a little bit to the east towards Bucknell, and Bucknell I thought had some very nice showing there in their inter squad dual meet, and they're a program that I'm very much impressed with, the way that they're investing into their program. They just got a state-of-the-art wrestling facility. It's very impressive. I've seen pictures of it, and it just looks like one of the best in the nation. So they had a couple true freshmen come out with wins as well. Joey Gould from Becca, who really surprised a lot of people when he came away with the 132-pound state championship last year as a senior. He won 2 matches at 133 to earn a starting spot as a true freshman. So I was pretty impressed with his performance.
Yeah, it's as you said, Bucknell. It's great to see the strides that they're making. Back in the day, years ago, that was one of my official visits was to Bucknell, and then they went through the problems, dropped the program, brought it back. Now it's really looking good with what's going on. Bright future there, and yeah, as you said, Joey Gould definitely one of the building blocks for the future there. Great showing last year, and now able to come in and win the wrestle off here with a pin.
Yeah, and Drew Phipps from Norwin, another true freshman for Bucknell. He was able to come away with a win at 197 pounds. A guy who, I thought, he was always on the radar. He was never able to get over that hump and get into get that state championship that I know he wanted. But I really do think he's going to have a good career at Bucknell, and clearly by this showing, able to come away with a win. It'll be interesting to see how he transitions into that college style, because it's definitely a different way of wrestling, a little bit different strategy. So I was happy to see Drew come away with a win, and Garrett Hoffman, who we just mentioned, who upset Dakota Gear last year in the state final, or I'm sorry, the state semis. Garrett Hoffman came away with a solid win as well. So future looks bright for Bucknell, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And I know you and I have talked about it quite a bit on past episodes of the podcast. The depth of Pennsylvania high school wrestling, you can have those guys. I mean, Drew Phipps, I don't think anybody ever doubted his talent, but, he's certainly a guy that, because he didn't have, those state titles next to his name, isn't gonna get the huge offers as far as scholarships goes. But, man, I think he can be a great fit there at Bucknell and really do some good things for the Bisons.
Yeah, and another guy at 174, Nick Stefani from Pennsylvania. He was able to come away with a win. So it'll be between him and Hoffman, I presume, to figure out who's going to be starting for them. So a lot of good stuff going on in Bucknell. Very, very happy to see that the way that they're competing, especially with the younger guys. They got Tyler Smith, who will be returning to the lineup this year. Tyler was I believe he's a two-time now NCAA qualifier. He was able to earn the starting spot at 141 again. So just overall good showing of Pennsylvania wrestlers.
Yeah, and I really like that Bucknell thing. I like the way that things are going for them, and just another quality Division I program here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, with Penn State, Penn State doesn't they don't do their inter squad. They don't have the public see it. Kale does all that stuff behind the scenes there at Penn State. So we're not sure exactly how the things are shaking out in Happy Valley, but I have an idea that they'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah, you're going out on a bit of a limb there, Jeff.
Bold prediction. Bold prediction.
Yeah, no. And I get it. Penn State can get away with that. They don't have to have it out in the public, all that. But I really like the idea of fans being able to get in and see the wrestle-offs. Most of these programs aren't going to bring in a huge crowd for a wrestle-off. I think Penn State would get a pretty good crowd. But I think it's good for the sport to have it open, to be able to see it and just kind of get people talking about wrestling before the first mats are rolled out for the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it gets you excited. For the season, especially at a program as so highly respected as Penn State. I see both sides of it. I see as a coaching standpoint, you want to be able to decide, maybe in the practice room, but I like when you dim the lights and you have two guys go at it. But regardless, we're going to
Jeff, let me interrupt you for 1 second. Did you happen to see, this is going outside of Pennsylvania, but did you happen to see the video that of the Oklahoma State showdown that they had, the bat versus mat?
Unbelievable. Was
that fantastic or what?
Coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, just awesome for wrestling to get that kind of, and what I liked about it, it wasn't a wrestling crowd there, so you're exposing the sport. And I mean, obviously it was hyped up. It wasn't what you're going to see if you actually go out and watch an Oklahoma State match, but it was a lot of fun. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, what they did was they had John Smith wrestling, that's in air quotes, wrestling, the softball coach from Oklahoma State, and they really put on a great show. Just an absolutely hilarious, fun time, high energy, and love seeing that for the sport. I'd love to see more colleges try to do something like that, just to get people involved. And I don't know if this was a football pep rally or something to start the basketball season, what it was, but it was exposing the sport to fans that might not understand it so much. So I thought just a great thing that Oklahoma State did.
Yeah, and the key thing there, Eric, is the fact that you mentioned that was primarily a non-wrestling fan base. And that's really what we're trying to reach, because we know that the guys are diehard wrestling fans. They're going to watch wrestling and support wrestling regardless. It may not be as large of a majority as we'd like, but we got to reach those outsiders, those people that aren't really familiar with wrestling, the sport of wrestling, and get them excited about it. And that event that they held down in Oklahoma State, I think, really did send that message that, hey, look, this is for everybody. And I will say this: John Smith looked pretty good. He can still throw it around. So
I think that low single still works.
I think so. I think there's a reason why we call it the John Smith single. But yeah, absolutely, Eric. I agree with you 100% that it'd be nice to see and this investment into wrestling and really thinking outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously already into wrestling. Where that's not necessarily the audience that was trying to reach, but I love that to go out and try to get more people involved, and I hope that more programs can do that and bring in some people that don't necessarily understand wrestling right now, but prove to them what a awesome sport it is and how many wonderful things there are about our sport.
We'll switch back gears to college wrestle-offs, and down in Maryland they had red versus black. Head coach Kerry McCoy got to see some of his guys in action. A few Pennsylvania wrestlers competed and did well. Billy Rappo, 141. He was able to come away with a victory. The final Rappo, he's the last Rappo.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
we might be into the sons now.
Their sons have been born, but all the brothers, the original brothers, are now through college, and Billy Rappo is the last of them. He won at 141 over Brandon Walker at 141. And Justin Alexander from Central Catholic, his brother Jeff Alexander was a very successful wrestler for Maryland. Justin won at 157. The interesting story with Justin is he had some off the mat issues. He didn't wrestle officially for the team last year. Had some incidents where there was some not some good things going on there, but he was able to come back and he won his wrestle off at 157, 175 in sudden victory. But Danny Boychuk is also there at 157, so I think Kerry McCoy is going to have some options there, just like we saw at Pitt and Clarion, all these other programs where you got a lot of talent in a few weight classes.
Well, and like you said, hopefully Justin has gotten things turned around, takes advantage of this opportunity, and goes out and has a great season for the Terps.
Yeah, we'll definitely be on the lookout for keeping you updated with what's going on in college wrestling, specifically with the Pennsylvania wrestlers. We're going to be coming out with a list. We did this last year of every single Pennsylvania wrestler who's on a Division I roster. We're going to go through and dissect that, break it all down, and we'll be able to talk to you about that. We may be able to expand that through Division II and Division III as well as we talk throughout the season, because that's the main point we want to talk about, is recognize those wrestlers that are continuing to compete outside of high school, and whether that's D1, D3, or NIAIA. So regardless, we want to recognize them.
And putting that list together last year gave me such an appreciation for what we have here in Pennsylvania and the number of guys that we move on to wrestle at the collegiate level, whether it's 1, 2, 3, whatever division. Just the enormity of that list and the number of guys on it is just so impressive, and just shows how well things are going here and how many guys we can move on to the next level.
For sure, Eric, and it's very humbling to see all those names, and we wish all of them the best of luck, just both in the classroom and on the mat, because it's a hard thing to do. It's hard enough to be in college, let alone continue competing and training. So, and speaking on that, we're going to talk with Brett Harner from Princeton. He was a NCAA All-American last season for Princeton. He finished 8th at 197 pounds. He was a very highly regarded wrestler from Norristown, with 4-time state medalist, finishing 8th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd his senior season. He and Jake Taylor from Brookville Area battled back and forth, and it was just just gutted it out in the finals there. So we're going to have a chance to talk with Brett about the upcoming All-Star Classic.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to Brett. It should be a good time. I've been to the Classic before, and it's great atmosphere, great for college wrestling, and to see some of those unbelievable matchups right at the start of the season is just fun for the sport.
The highlight match has to be Gabe Dean and Miles Martin.
Anytime you can match up a couple of returning champions, that's a pretty good way to start the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Gabe Dean will get the job done, but Miles Martin's, you can't take him lightly. He was essentially an underdog. He's an 11th
last
seed.
year.
Yeah, he's an 11th seed who came away with the championship. Right.
Came through, knocks off Bo Nickel. Full credit to him. I mean, it's kind of tough for Nickel, who had beaten him a couple times already in the season, that the one loss comes in the NCAA finals, but that's the way it works sometimes.
That's why they wrestle the matches, right, Eric?
Absolutely.
Joining us now is special guest Brett Harner from Princeton, who will be heading out to Cleveland this weekend to compete in the All-Star dual meet here. Brett, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
We're doing good, and we appreciate you taking the time out to join us on the PA Power podcast. Brett, we just first want to talk to you about just the experience that you're going to go through here at the All-Star Classic. How honored were you when you were asked to compete in that event?
I was definitely really honored. Kind of took me by surprise. I guess we were listening one morning. Coach was like, hey, you might declare your schedule for the day before Virginia Tech. And I was kind of like, what? And it was definitely surprising. I guess it shouldn't have been. During the first rankings that come out at that point, I think I was ranked 4th by, I think I want to say win or the open mat or one or the other. So it hadn't really dawned on me that could be a possibility. I'm pretty stoked. I mean, it seems kind of surreal. I mean, even as far as going back to placing at nationals last year, that also there's still kind of some element of surrealism there too. So I'm just kind of trying to take it all in and really enjoy the experience.
So, Brett, does that change how you prepare at all? You're getting, not that you can ever really ease into the season, but now all of a sudden you're jumping in and you've got a guy like Brett Pfarr in your first match.
It doesn't really change anything. Our coaches are pretty, they have it down to a science now. I've done my 4th year seeing kind of this, our preseason regimen, the way we go about preparing and tapering off before. I mean, we prepare the same for, the same as we would for, the Hokie Open or, our conference tournament as we would for the national tournament. The same kind of goes for this match. I guess maybe, this week it's a little more specific to, maybe a little more scouting involved, obviously, because, I only have one match as opposed to maybe scouting someone who I might wrestle in the finals, but, you got to get there first, that kind of thing. So, if anything, it's a little bit more narrowed in on my opponent, but as far as baseline training goes, it's pretty much the same.
Now, Brett, you haven't wrestled Brett Pfarr from Minnesota in your college career, is that correct?
I have not.
Okay, so and he placed 3rd last year at 197. You were 8th. You talked about that experience in Madison Square Garden last year in New York. You came in, I believe you were the 7th seed, correct?
Yep.
So, I mean, you said it was surreal. That may still be sinking into you that, hey, you're an All-American. What was that experience like for you, just earning a spot on the podium?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I'd probably say one of the most incredible moments of my life thus far. Ever since my freshman year, the coach. Even while I was being recruited, the coaches kind of always told me, we're recruiting you to be, one of our first, All-Americans we've had, first of many, or not necessarily me specifically, but our class is going to probably be the one to do it. And even my freshman year, I remember Coach Gray calling me after, actually he pulled me out aside in the middle of the season, after like a long dome with like middle of practice, like you can get on the podium this year. And I didn't really believe him until I was, sitting at home watching nationals. And then I just texted him. I just said, "You were right." And he knew exactly what I was talking about. But to see it actually come into fruition was just absolutely incredible, especially in Madison Square Garden where, we weren't the host team, but it was essentially, as far as the national tournament goes, it's about as much as a home crowd as we can get. Our most of our, it's probably like 90% of our, our alumni supporters live and work in New York. We were able to pair that with the NWCA tournament being in our own gym, kind of just putting all the pieces together. It just seemed like everything kind of fell into place, right place, right time kind of thing. My whole family was there, a lot of my friends. So it was definitely, it's still hard to put it in words, honestly. But, I'm could not have been more happy that it happened, at Madison Square Garden, the mecca of all sporting venues, and in front of, tens and, maybe 100 people who really care about my success and, could really, enjoy that moment with me.
Brett, going to any college and balancing the academic workload along with the athletics, it can be difficult. I can't imagine what it's like at Princeton, though, to have that academic, just the excellence that there is there, and uphold that while also becoming an All-American in wrestling. What's that like, your daily schedule, and just how difficult is it to balance those two?
Yeah, it's really hard. Basically, the way strangely enough, I find that I perform better academically in season. I suppose there's less distraction. Everything is super, at least from a training standpoint, it's very regimented. We'll have lift, once or twice a week at given times, practice, every day at a certain time. So there's not a whole lot of room for, there's not a lot of room for me to procrastinate or really take much time off. So what I kind of like on a week-to-week basis, what I'll do is I'll sit down and basically plan my week out down to like the half hour. If it's finish class at 1:30, we have practice at 3. I'm going to go to the library for an hour and a half, grab a snack, go to practice, get dinner, study a certain subject for an hour and a half, study another subject for an hour and a half, maybe try to relax a little bit before I go to bed, and, kind of. So
you've got to schedule some relaxation time in there to keep yourself sane.
Yeah, I try to. I try to. Going straight from the library to going to sleep is not only difficult, but it's definitely just not. I feel like it's just not healthy. try and de-stress and neutralize myself a bit. Trying to recover. But overall, the workload is manageable, I'd say. I didn't really know what to expect coming in as a freshman. I just knew it was hard. I came from Norristown, and that wasn't the most challenging school academically. But strangely enough, I actually find it a bit easier here. A lot easier to be motivated. That's the one thing that kind of probably goes understated about Ivy League schools, and maybe about Princeton specifically, is the academics are exponentially harder than anything, than what any high school student is used to. But, you're surrounded by the best and brightest, quite literally in the world. Not everyone here is going to be like a Nobel Prize winner, but, everyone has something that got them into this school. So I think it's, you kind of look around and kind of puts the flame under your butt, so to speak. You got to kind of keep up, and a little bit easier when everyone's working hard,
Brett, you had talked about the regimented schedule and lifting and whatnot. When you came in, you wrestled 182 pounds your senior year at Norristown, and this will be now your second season up at 197. What's that been like to compete up at 197? You look pretty big. You look like you have been lifting. So, but what's that like to wrestle at such a high weight?
It's awesome. I actually started out my freshman year at 174
right.
for the first half of the year, and that was definitely a mistake. I was a little too big, too lean for that, and ended up bumping up, and like the transition from 74 to 82, even mid-season, was kind of how I felt about transition from 84 to 97, to where it was a kind of a, ironically, a weight off of my shoulders. I can kind of enjoy life and not have to really worry about what I eat so much. Not that I'm going out eating junk food every meal, but not having that stress of having to plan out your diet down to the amount of carbs or calories you're consuming in any given meal or for a snack. It definitely, I think it improves your overall quality of life, which I think honestly is the biggest part. Not so much the whole size factor. I think at this point, people say, oh, like he's big for that weight, he's small for that weight, but like, what does that really mean? I don't think it means anything anymore. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. I jumped up to 84 mid-season, and I had probably one of the best, I wrestled a lot better despite not being a quote-unquote 84-pounder, because everyone weighs 197 at the beginning of the morning, and you can't really put that much weight on throughout a given tournament. So for me, like, the best part is really just enjoying my life. Like, I can actually study and get work done and kind of go with my day-to-day activities throughout the week without being tired because I'm eating, less than I should, or, cutting out the water a little earlier than I might normally, But as far as lifting goes, I basically put all my trust in our strength coach and in our regular coaching staff. And it's worked out thus far.
Now, Brett, going into your final season here, you didn't in the Ivy League. This is your fourth year competing, correct? You're in school for 4 years, and this is your fourth year competing. So there's no type of red shirt or anything of that nature. So going into this year, what is your what's your goal? What's it going to take to get you higher up on that podium? Because obviously you're going to be expected to perform well again, wherever in St. Louis. So what's it like for you mentally to really drive that train to where you want to go?
Yeah, I think more than anything else, it's exciting. There's not, I've kind of been through the ringer, the last 3 years, and I know what this season is and what it's about, and it can be a lot physically, mentally at times, and for me, I think I'd be doing myself, my coaches, my family, like a disservice to say I'm not going to try to win a national title this year. For the amount of abuse and work you put yourself through, I just don't think, I'm not doing it for the right reasons if I'm not trying to win it. But that being said, it's exciting. I'm obviously not slated to win a national title. I'm up there, but as far as anyone else is concerned, like, no one else is really in contention. So, I think it's exciting. I'm trying to just really let loose and not try to not, as weird as it sounds, not care as much. Just kind of go out there, let it fly, and actually try to have fun and kind of step on the mat every time, knowing not only this could be the last time, but this is one of the last times I'm ever going to get to do this. Which is, at the same time a bit sad, but also super exciting because I have nothing to lose,
Well, just in talking to you, Brett, you sound like you're happy. You sound like you're having a good time, and like you said, you're just free flowing. You're ready to get this season under your belt. And we talked about Norristown, and you had a lot of experience at Norristown as well. Your career record there, 190 and 24. I know you at Norristown, you guys were getting, you and the Springers were getting close to 50 matches a year. So what did that high school experience do for you? You're a 4-time state medalist for Norristown.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar to maybe not in terms of volume matches, but in terms of progression of how our schedule went. My freshman year in high school, my dad was my coach, and we kind of started off with a lot of volume. We had a fairly tough schedule, I guess, given how good we were as a team, and then kind of as we got better and better each year, and maybe not. I think we actually got 4th in the state my sophomore or junior year. I remember my sophomore year. I'm not really sure, but our schedule got progressively harder and harder to the point where my senior year, we went to what did we do? We did Ironman, then a Escape the Rock, in addition to the Pennsylvania postseason tournament. So, I think my dad had in mind really that, like, between the Stringers or, like Fuentes and I, Fuentes and me, that we, high school wasn't the end-all, be-all. And, not as opposed to trying to preserve some sort of record or, have be undefeated. I think it's kind of unrealistic. And I think my dad kind of saw that, we needed to actually get out there and wrestle the best kids and take some losses because, you're not going to go out there and blow everyone away your first year of college. So I think it definitely helped me. That being said, there's a huge learning curve, but I think the rigor of our schedule and just kind of wrestling in Pennsylvania in general definitely helped shorten that learning curve to the point where I was kind of able to go out there my freshman year and compete against just about anyone and not really care that much who it was,
Brett, you went from 140 your freshman year of high school and, grew up through the ranks and now up to 197. I personally always feel like those are the guys that do really well because they have that background at different weights as opposed to guys who maybe, were a big guy the whole time through that, had that big guy style, if you will, the whole time. Do you feel like that's a bonus having gone up through different weights where you were wrestling a little different style at maybe some different weights?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess it's hard for me to say because I've never experienced anything else. But, yeah, definitely. I think I'd say as far as 197, I think I have a bit more offense than most people. I'm a little more active on my feet. A lot of the bigger guys kind of tend to cling, hand fight, and hang out while, I've obviously picked up on that from my experience in the upper weights, but I still have that background of kind of aggressively trying to score takedowns, and I think that's the largest part. Where kind of my experience in lighter weights translates into somewhat of an advantage in upper weight. But yeah, I mean, I guess you see it with our heavyweight O'Donnell as well. I mean, he was always a waiter, 1 or 2 weights above me in high school. And then when we came in, I was at 74, he was at 97. He decided to move up, and now he still sneaks me on takedowns every now and then. He's still got that quickness, so. It's not only exciting for me, but also for him to see, what we can do against the big guys, given that, we've been wrestling our whole lives as, Pennsylvania middle weights, upper middle weights.
Brett, talking about, you got Ray O'Donnell there from Saucon Valley, who you mentioned at heavyweight there. The only 2 there on the roster from Pennsylvania. What was the draw for you to Princeton? And I know one guy who's committed to Princeton is John Pippa from Bishop McDevitt, 2-time state runner-up himself. What is it that draws you to Princeton? You got a pretty much tremendous coaching staff there, but what is it that makes Princeton wrestling so special?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just about said it. It's largely the coaching staff. I guess I first really met them unofficial visit before Fargo, and just kind of right off the bat, you can see how enthusiastic each and every one of them are. And, Coach Ayers has had this vision since he came here some 10 years ago. And it's not even like he believes it. He lives it. And there's just no shadow of a doubt that all the coaches are committed to this program's success 100% through and through. And not only that, but they're not just coaches, but, I see them I see them as friends, These are people that I want to know and stay in touch with and be around the rest of my life. And I think that the fact that you can kind of get that impression in such a short, throughout the process of being recruited speaks to that. And I think that's actually, why we've been so successful in the last few years, coming from, I think when I was being recruited, they were 4-12 or something atrocious. To where we basically reversed that my freshman year, had 1 national qualifier at the point where we've had 5 national qualifiers the last 2 years, and we're in serious contention for an Ivy League title and, hopefully finishing, the upper side of the rankings this year. it's kind of an environment where, you know, you can really discover yourself and test yourself, your physical and mental limits, you know, but also have a great time while doing so. So, I mean, there's that aspect. And then obviously, something pretty, which I didn't know would be the case. I kind of had a feeling, but, you know, coming in, I think we shared the number one spot with Harvard as far as, you know, best school in the country. And I think since I've been here, we've been the undisputed number one school in the country all 4 years, which is pretty cool to say. Campus is gorgeous. It's only about an hour from home, which isn't that much of a factor. It's convenient because, you know, I can see my parents whenever I want. But when you're here, it's kind of in a bubble. So, I mean, whether I was, you know, here, I might as well be, you know, across the country. You know, I find myself not really ever wanting to leave this place. Kind of has a strange allure to it. Keeps bringing you back.
Brett, you're a senior now. What is it? What are you majoring in, and what are you looking to do after wrestling is over and your college career and academics are over?
Yeah, sure. I'm majoring in economics, minoring in finance. So I'm be working in Manhattan for JP Morgan, doing sales and trading in an analyst position. I interned there last summer, doing pretty much the same thing. So yeah, I mean, I had a good experience. The interview process last year was, as a junior in the middle of wrestling season, I think I had my final round, like 3 interviews in Manhattan the day before we wrestled Lehigh and Northwestern. So that was probably one of the more stressful times of my life. But you know, I was fortunate enough to actually get the internship and do well enough this summer. They gave me a return offer. So it's definitely one huge layer of stress that I actually didn't have to do, that I'm not going to have to deal with this year, which is fantastic because I have to write a thesis by the time I graduate. So I got enough on my plate as it is. I'm really, really fortunate to, you know, to be able to know what I'm doing starting, you know, probably end of this summer.
Well, Brett, it sounds like you got it all figured out. You definitely sound like a man with a plan, and we really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us on the PA Power Podcast. We wish you the best of luck in Cleveland this weekend at the NWCA All-Star Classic when you're going to be facing Brett Pfarr of Minnesota. Wish you nothing but the best on and off the mat this season as a senior, as you finish out your career at Princeton, you know, representing Pennsylvania in the best of lights, both on and off the mat. So we really appreciate it, Brett, and look forward to seeing you this season.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Again, we really appreciate Brett Harner taking the time out and discussing his thoughts on wrestling and just giving us a look into his life wrestling for Princeton and you know, doing the academics there and just very, very bright, intelligent young man.
Yeah, and I thought it was really insightful how he talked about how he has to almost physically schedule the entire week out as to, okay, this is when I'm going to do this. I've got lifting here. I've got practice here. I can fit in a library session here. And, oh, yeah, a little bit of time to relax as well. Yeah, heaven forbid we can relax a little bit. So I wish him nothing but the best on and off the mat. So we really appreciate him stopping in. So a lot of open tournaments this weekend, college open tournaments. So stay tuned for results from that from PA Power Wrestling. We'll be providing updates to how Pennsylvania wrestlers are doing. A lot of them wearing college singlets for the first time in their career, so excited to see how they make that adjustment. Yeah, we've got the college season ready to get going. We're about a month away from the start of the high school season, so it's really starting to feel like wrestling season here.
Absolutely, Eric, and I've gotten a lot of requests of when the top incoming freshman will be released. We're looking at least another week and a half until it's released. It's a whole lot of wrestlers. We got the top 75, and I spend a lot of time compiling that list. I probably spend too much time compiling that list. If you ask my
they're
girlfriend.
Going to be sophomores by the time.
They'll be sophomores by the time I'm done evaluating them. But that list is almost complete. The credentials are almost all in place. So just got to work on making it look pretty. So that'll be out on PA Power Wrestling shortly. But in the meantime, always you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, like us on iTunes.
Yes, please give us a review. It helps get the word out about the PA Power Wrestling podcast to reach more fans. So give us a review, hopefully a favorable one, and just continue to spread the word about the podcast.
Yeah, and visit PAPowerWrestling.com for all your wrestling needs, rankings, news, highlights, everything in terms of college commitments. You name it, we have it at PA Power Wrestling. If not, give us a shout out and we'll get on it. So thanks for stopping in to the PA Power Podcast.